All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Jay McLevin. Got quite a bit to talk about today. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, we are doing well, sir. We are doing well. I got some pictures and some video from the Astros parade that had yesterday. All my nephews and, of course, my whole family was out there watching it, and they were saying there was like 1 million people.
I'm surprised you didn't fly to Houston so you could go to the parade.
Man, listen, it takes money sometimes. I can't be flying there every day. I mean, hey, trust me.
You probably thought about it, though, didn't you? You thought about it, though, didn't you?
Man, listen, I begged and pleaded with the wife, man. You know, it's crazy. This is how my life has gone. I remember, I joined the military back in the early 90s, about 93. And if you know about 93, that's when the Cowboys won their championships. Yep. I missed all of those. I was over in Japan. And then the Houston Rockets got their championships in 93, 94, 94, 95. So I was still over in Japan for that as well. And then every time the Astros have won anything, I've either been out in the desert in California doing military training, or I've been out here in Savannah, from after I got the military. So I've never been in Houston or lived in Houston anytime they've gotten any kind of title. And it just seems like that's my life. But, I'm okay with that. Because I guess as long as I'm out of the city of Houston, those fuckers win. So with that information.
I saw some. They showed some clips of the parade on TV yesterday as it was going on and stuff on some of the sports.
Yeah,
I saw some of those.
My like I said, one of my cousins. He's a police detective out there for the city of Houston, and so where the garage building where he parks his car at is directly over the parade route. So they took my whole family and they all lined up chairs, in this garage building, and watched it. They had the most perfect view ever. And it showed me a panoramic view of this, and it's about a 4-story garage, but it goes a whole damn city block. And I swear to God, Gonzo, there must have been several thousand. I would say at least they had to have at least 20,000 people in this garage, just on one little section. I mean, and this is all over the whole parade route like that. I mean, it was actually freaking incredible, man. And they didn't burn any cars. They didn't destroy any property. But man, it was a beautiful thing to see. And Mattress Mac did win his $75 million. And he did get on the podium, and he was on the float, because you're not spending $75 million damn dollars and you don't have your ass on a float going down the parade.
Yeah, it's the biggest legal betting
legal
cash
bet.
out.
And it was funny because if you watch the parade, I believe the first vehicle was a Humvee, and it had Dusty Baker in it, and then the next vehicle had the Astros, I think Jim Crane, and the next Humvee group. And then came the big Mattress Mac float, and that had Mattress Mac in it, along with all the Houston rappers that have come out of the city of Houston, Ghetto Boys. I mean, if you're a big rapper in Houston, you were on that float. And then after that, then you had all the players on their big float. And man, it was just, it was really nice to see the city of Houston enjoying that moment, man. Gonzo, man, since 2017, it's been a rough ride for a Houston fan, but to find, and especially for Dusty Baker, like we always said before, for him to finally get his ring, I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, well, that's like I told you. I chose the Phillies to win because of the couple of the players that was on that team that I like, but it wasn't going to bother me if Dusty Baker got his ring. So
Yeah.
I was just hoping for a good World Series, and it was a good competitive World Series. I mean, you had a lot of history made in that World Series, and got to see some good baseball. So
And
can't,
you know,
can't
I
really
just
complain.
saw I think it was either ESPN or I saw a graphic. It might have even been on Facebook. I saw the graphic, but they had all the different awards they're gonna divvy out, and it had all three candidates. Of course, I did the American League side, the National League side, and you look at Rookie of the Year, and of course Rodriguez is in there. There's some other guy, two other guys in there, but I'm really
Quan, it
surprised.
was Rodriguez, Quan, and Rooshman.
Yes. But and I get it, man. I mean, if it's just a regular season, I don't think Pena quite did enough in the regular season to surpass those two individuals. But I do want to say he might not have got it in the regular, but he damn sure got it in the postseason, baby.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Them
But and again, and Dusty Baker wasn't even in. I get and Thompson wasn't in there. How is Dusty Baker and Thompson? They may not win it, but how are their names not in there? Especially with Thompson as an interim, what he did in the regular season to get them where they were, and what Dusty was able to go through. And they went from last place. The first 2 weeks of the season, the Astros were in last place,
yeah,
and then they wound up being the World Series champs. I mean, I'm just saying the fact that their names weren't even in the graphic, it was mind boggling.
well, the first 2 weeks of the season, Astros couldn't hit the ball.
Exactly.
You got
Our damn batting our batting average was around 235,
yeah.
225,
You guys
235.
couldn't score no runs. It was crazy.
Man, hey, we were hurting. Seriously, we were hurting, and we weren't the only ones. I mean, there were other teams out there that were struggling.
As bad as the Reds. We started 2 for 23.
But you know what the weird thing goes on? If you look at Major League Baseball, across the board, American League, National League, combine it all together, batting average as a whole was down.
Yep.
Yeah, they were. The batting average took a dip.
It was around like the league average was like around 240, 240.
Yeah, it was around
or something like that.
It was either 235 or 240, somewhere in that ballpark.
Usually it's close to like in the 270s most years.
It's about 275, 280 is where that. No, actually 265, 275, somewhere in that range is where it typically was. Yeah, and to go from to drop 30 basis points across the league, I mean that's crazy. And I don't know if is that pitching? Maybe the pitching just really elevated? I don't know.
Oh man, I don't know. Some of it is probably the pitching, and a lot of it is because just the way the game has changed. It seems like nobody just swings for contact anymore. It's all home run or strikeout. And so if you look,
the funny thing about it is, if you looked at this year, I know two games specifically, and I can't remember for the life of me the name of the team. I don't know if it was the A's that was doing it to us, or if it was even the Angels that might have been doing it to us. But there were several instances where it shocked me that they actually bunted their way onto base. And I saw that happen 4 different times. And then those 4 different times, it was always against a shift. And you know what? Believe it or not, I seen them score off those bunt even.
Yeah. Well,
so there was a little bit of small ball in there. But
that's what I've never understood about the shift. Everybody complains about it. Now they made it where they changed rules on it, but why don't you stick the damn bat out there?
Yeah, but all you gotta do is bunt against the shift.
Yeah, you ain't got to bunt it. All you gotta just stick the bat out there and let it go. Let it go toward third base.
Hey, listen, I'm with you.
Bring nobody that side of the field.
Now, interesting, you said the shift though, because Gonzo, that's something we should really talk about. Now that the season is over with, look at all the rules changes that are going to be going into effect next year.
Like on the
shift
now,
like you said, is going away.
You can only shift so far. You have to have at least 2 guys on each side of second base. So
your feet have to be on the damn dirt. You have to have at least your feet have to be within the dirt area.
You can shift over to like second base, but as far as you can go, and you got to be on the dirt.
Not only that, and then
what's your feelings about them changing the rules on that?
I like the bigger bases. I kind of get that whole idea with the bigger bases. I really like the pitch clock, because I think it's going to speed the game up by at least 26 minutes. They've already proven they can speed it up by, so I like the pitch clock. I like the bigger bases. I don't like the shift. I don't like to take away the shift because, again, it's part of strategy. And I don't know why we're going to take away something that a manager can use in a strategic moment. And I know why they want to do that. We all know why they want to do that, because if they pull the infielders off the grass and into the dirt, then now you got more of an opportunity to get that base hit, which I think when they were obviously off into the grass, you couldn't just get that little blooper anymore. So, I mean, I get what Major League Baseball is trying to do because it gives more offensiveness to it. But at the same time, I don't like it at all because I feel like it takes away the strategy from the manager.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the bases. That didn't really. Anthony says lame, bigger bases makes it easy to steal. Making the bases a little bigger didn't bother me either way. The pitch clock, I think, will be a good thing if they implement it right.
Yeah,
and I'm glad they've tested it in minor leagues for a couple of years and got, what I mean, work some of the kinks out of it, make sure you got a good plan. Now with the shift, I'm kind of torn. I see it both ways because baseball's a game of strategy and you're taking strategy out of it.
Right.
And the other thing I don't like, and the other thing is, that I don't like that they changed the shift is, you're changing the shift because you're saying it's taking base hits away from batters. These are supposed to be professional baseball players, the best damn baseball players in the world. And you're telling me that if left field or the whole left side of field's open, that they can't hit the ball over there? To me, if you can't hit the ball to where they're not, that's on the hitter.
Well, it's on the hitter, but it's also on the hitting coach.
Yeah. So I mean,
why isn't the hitting coach getting these guys practicing to pull the other way?
Because I do see it does take away some base hits that you would get out in right field sometimes, or maybe shallow left field. It does, but it's also leaving a whole other side of the field open. We're like we just said, you hit a slow ground ball and you're going to get to first base.
We've seen it. How many times have we seen it? I've seen it a few times where they were able to get it opposite of the shift, and they were, like I said, they were able to get on the base no problem.
So that's why the shift I'm kind of torn about, because baseball is a game of strategy, and that's why I don't like analytics so much in baseball, is because it takes away some of the managerial strategy, because you got
and vice versa.
You got people telling you what to do.
Right, and vice versa though, it takes away from the evolution of the skill set in the players. In other words, hey, look, we're saying you can't hit the ball right, so we're gonna double up everything on the left. Well, okay, so that means that if the game is truly evolving, if the skill sets in the game are evolving, then they should be able to learn to hit the ball against the shift. And if they want to take away the shift, hit the ball the other way, and guess what? I guarantee you the shift will go away. But that's the whole problem. I think, Gonzo, in a lot of these sports, as time goes along, technologies are getting better and things like that. But I really believe in all three sports, basketball, baseball, football, we are seeing a decline in the skill set in certain aspects. You know what I'm saying? So take for example, baseball. Like you said, we all go for the long ball. There is no more real true short ball or no real true opposite the field pulling. You look at basketball, everything is now the 3-point or the dunk. There's no true middle ground jumper really anymore, except for maybe a couple of guys, DeRozan comes to mind, that still does it. But I think a lot of skill sets we lose out of these sports because we've changed the dynamics of the game so much.
No, I agree. If you look in baseball, I bet you if you go back in history, like if you go back 10 years, let's say go back 10 years and you watch all the games and study, I think there's a lot more dead pull hitters now than there used to be.
Absolutely.
You used to see guys be able to go the other way. Now, a lot of these hitters are dead pull hitters, and that's why they do this shift, because they know 80% of the time they hit the ball to left field or 80% of the time they hit the right field. 10, 15 years ago, you didn't see that as much. You saw guys that could go up to the plate and right-handed batters hit it out to right field, go the other way, stay back on the ball.
Which is one thing about the Phillies. Which is one thing about the Phillies. You know, if you look at Houston's ballpark and the way it's constructed, if you can hit that ball to left field, I swear to God, man, there's no reason why you can't get a home run. Those Crawford boxes come out so far. That porch is so shallow that if you could learn, like let's say you're a guy that typically hits the ball to right field. If you can figure out how to, start hitting the ball to the damn left field, you could probably get a shit ton of home runs because the porch is so shallow. Not that it's not shallow in right. I think it's like 318 in right field. I think it's just right at 300 and left. I mean, it's not very far. So, I mean, these guys should be able to technically either A, hit the ball over, or at least hit the damn wall like a lot of Astros did, and carry them off. I think get you a double. But I think because a lot of people, like you said, I can hit the ball right, but I can't hit the ball left. And I think that's where some of the skill sets are diminishing, because I'll be honest with you, there is no better ballpark for a guy to hit a home run in outside of Minute Maid Park. I would say possibly Coors Field. Coors Field is another very short ballpark.
Great American Ballpark. The ball flies out there pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a couple,
Yeah.
and I think maybe even correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even Miller Park out there in Milwaukee, I think has a. I've been in Miller Park a couple of times, and I remember them having kind of a short field. But I will tell you, as shallow as left field is in Houston, I mean, there's no reason, man, these dudes shouldn't have been like the Phillies should have been hitting so many more home runs.
Well, to your point, there was 2 or 3 big moments of the game where the guy hit a bomb to right center field and was just barely short of having a home run.
Oh man, did you see when they put Chas McCormick on the wall when he robbed that one ball?
That's what I'm saying. If that ball was in left field, to your point, if that ball was in left field, it was a home run.
Oh, it was a whale. It was so. If that ball was in left field, I think that ball goes over the Crawfords. Honestly,
you know what I mean?
Man, what a time to be alive! That's the one thing, honestly, in that World Series that scared the crap out of me about a team like Philadelphia and the hitters that they have. What scared me about it was I was scared about that left field porch and how that was going to affect us, and maybe even the right field, but more the left field, because I really thought with that Phillies team and the way that they're set up with Hoskins and Harper and Schwarber and Remuto and all those guys, I thought that would just be a home run fest, and that just shows how good Houston's pitching was to not let that happen. But man, I really was. I'm not gonna lie to you, Gonzo. That was the biggest worry going into Houston, or having Philly come into Houston, the World Series, was that left field porch. I was just nervous there was going to be a lot of balls going that way.
And that was the Phillies' biggest problem, was that they live and die by that home run. If they can't get that long ball going, they struggle to score runs. They're not a team that's typically going to get 3 or 4 hits in a row. It's just, they're not built like that. You don't see a whole lot, and honestly, you don't see a whole lot of teams that are built like that anymore to be able to get 3 or 4 hits in a row in one inning.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And again, I think it's just because, now we're just so long ball focused nowadays. Question though, man. I know you've seen it online. It looks like Rizzo's going to opt out. I'm pretty sure Judge is probably. Where do you see the Yankees going from here, man? Like, what do you see? Because I see a lot of old guys now. I know Donaldson's 37. I think is it Stanton? Not Stanek, man. Stanton, whatever that his name is. Thank you, Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton. He's 33. I mean, they got several guys on there. I think LeMay, he was like 34. I mean, they got a lot of older guys. I think if they keep a hold of Carpenter, he's a middle 30s guy. And of course, Judge is 30. I'm wondering where the Yankees go from here into next year. Where are they? How do you see the Yankees? Like, what is your opinion of where the Yankees will be next year? Will they be better, worse, or the same as they were this year?
I think I don't know yet. It's going. A lot of it depends on what happens. I think Rizzo will still be with the Yankees, because from what I hear, he's going to opt out, and then he's wanting to re-sign there. So he basically opt out and re-sign for a couple years or whatever. So I think Rizzo ends up. The big key is going to be what happens with Judge.
Well, they gave Severino, correct me if I'm wrong, they just gave Severino a pretty good contract as well. So they just got Severino back under contract. So I think their pitching staff is under contract. The real big is, what do they do with Taillon, and what do they do with Montas? We know Montas, he just never really panned out for New York. So what do they do with those two guys? And then where do they elevate, or what do they do with that bullpen? Because they got to do something with the bullpen.
They got to do something with the bullpen. But I think the main thing is what happens with Judge. Is he going to be there, or if you lose him, how are you going to replace him? Anthony Price, for one, depends on what Judge does.
And then what if San Francisco?
I think Judge
drives the price up so high that, and I think even Steinbrenner came out and said already that he's not gonna, he can't compete financially.
He's not going to get in a bidding war.
Yeah, he said he's not going to get in the bidding war with San Fran. So and that's what I really believe. I think Judge is done this year. I think Judge is called. I think Judge is going to be in San Francisco at some point next season he'll be in San Fran. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep him.
That's where I think he's going to end up as San Fran, just because they're going to offer him. They're going to offer him a whole lot of money. Plus, if I remember correctly, isn't that where like his hometown? And
he grew up a Giants fan, and that's why I don't think the Dodgers are going to have a dog in the fight. Because number one, even if the Dodgers can match what the Giants are going to give him, his family is all around the San Francisco area. So he's a Giants fan. That's where his family's located. And if the Giants, and the Dodgers' money are equal, he's going to choose the Giants. It just makes sense.
Unless he just thinks that if he goes to the Dodgers, he has a better chance of winning.
And the sad thing for the Dodgers is, and I think even Jonathan Mathis, I saw him on Facebook talking about it, and I really do agree with him. The problem with the Dodgers isn't their hitting. They got plenty of hitting. The problem with the Dodgers is their bullpen and keeping their starting pitchers healthy. Buehler's coming off Tommy John. I think May went down with an issue. Kershaw had a couple of issues. The pitching is the issue for LA, not the hitting. And that's where I'm scared they might put too much money trying to keep going with that hitting aspect and not address the biggest need, which is pitching, which I think is going to keep them out of the World Series, is that pitching.
I don't know if the Yankees will be in a rebuild.
That won't be they're not.
I don't think they're going to fall that far. I don't think they're going to fall that far because they got. I just wonder
how much longer Boone has in cash. I mean, they signed. They re-signed him or said they're going to stay. I mean, I just see the Yankees in a rut.
But I mean, we can all say, "Oh, Boone should be gone, Cashman should be gone. They can't win." But hey, I wish my team would make it to the playoffs every year.
Hey, listen, hey,
you know what I mean?
And that's something else too to think about. I mean, I agree with you.
At least they're in contention. I mean, my team ain't been in contention since 1990. We made the playoffs a few years ago, but we got put out in the first round. But you know what I mean? The Yankees are usually there in the playoffs and can have a chance to advance. Where if you're,
I'm gonna tell you right now, Gonzo, this is my opinion, and I don't know if you feel the same way I feel about this, but when I see the Cincinnati Reds, that market is not a whole lot different than the Houston market. You know what I'm saying? Like those markets, they're fairly comparable. You know what I'm saying? And I almost think Cincinnati, if they went to kind of what the Astros were doing, is build through your farm, can protect your farm, make sure the people that you have developing your pitchers in the farm are high caliber guys. If you can develop your guys in your farm system, that's going to bring the Reds back to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what the Astros did. The Astros, when they tanked, I'm going to tell you right now, I remember my uncle, he has a lot of connections with some of the people down there in the Astro area, and he was telling me that through the grapevine, what they did was, before it actually happened, was the Astros said, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. And this is back when Leno was there from Philly. I think it was actually kind of when Leno first came there, right when they started tanking, right when they started, sending pieces here, sending pieces there. And then they collected all these draft picks. They said, okay, number one, we're going to bring in the right guys to develop our people. That's step one. Step two, we're going to tank. And that's what they did. They tanked. And then they brought in all the draft picks. Step three, we're going to start going heavily down into Venezuela, Dominican, Puerto Rico, anywhere we can find. And we're going to find these players like the Valdez's, Javier's. And that's what they did. They brought these guys in when they were like 18, 19, and they just developed them from there through that farm system. And that's how the Astros are at where they are today, is because they went back to a certain period and they realized the first thing we got to do is develop our managers, make sure we got the right managers in the farm to develop our guys. Secondly, we're going to go start tanking and getting the picks. And thirdly, we're going to South America. We're going to find our players.
Yeah, see, and with the Reds, we have a lot of good prospects in the minors right now, and we got a lot from our trades. But what seems to be the problem with them is we'll start developing them, and then they move them up, and they start looking good, and then we get rid of them. It's like you got to keep your prospects at one point if you're ever to build a team. You can't just keep getting rid of guys. I think we need a new manager. We fired 5 or 6 coaches this offseason, but we kept the manager. I think this is basically his last year. Either do something or you're gone. I think he should have already been gone. I didn't like when they hired him anyway. Nothing against David Bell, just I don't think he's that great of a manager. So I like to see him go after somebody else. But we have some good young pitchers. If you watch, I know you don't watch a lot of Reds, but toward the end of the season, you know how when teams are out, if they start bringing up some of their prospects and getting them some
Right.
experience. We have some some pitchers that look promising. That I think that are going to pan out and be good. But the problem is, look at this. 3 years ago, we had Trevor Bauer on our team. We had Luis Castillo, Wade Miley. Of course, I'm gonna forget his name now. He went to Cleveland.
Oh,
Another pitcher. I can't think of his name now. But we had 4 or 5 good starters.
Yeah.
And then we got rid of all of them. It's like, Bauer, even if we'd have kept him with the stuff he has going on, but we had the other guys that, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. And let me tell you, like, I don't know what everybody's free agent lists are looking like these days, but I know the Astros are going to have some big time decisions come free agency.
And like last year, we had Castellanos. We had Castellanos, and he had almost an MVP type season. Then we ship him off to the Phillies.
And sometimes you got to pay. Hey, you got to pay them guys.
Yep.
And Castellanos, I mean, you know, if you watch that series with the Stros, Castellanos had a really good series. You know, he played well, and I don't. You know, like I said, you had Castillo.
You know what was weird about that? You know what was weird about Castellanos? He's not known for his defense. He's known for his bat. And in the World Series, he played better defensively than what he hit the ball. He made some big defensive plays out there in right field. Hell, that one diving catch saved the game for him in the 9th inning of that one game.
Yeah, that's.
Anthony says, you think if Philly gets better pitchers, they will be back in the World Series? They can have a shot depending on what happens with the rest of the roster. Because I mean, that's their biggest weakness is they need at least, I think, one more starter and then a couple bullpen guys.
You know, I was looking at my Astros, and I'm, you know, Justin Verlander's a free agent. He's gonna at least so his player option is $25 million. His market value, believe it or not, is $41.7 million. I'm gonna bring back Verlander. I don't care what they say. As long as he's still able to play good, he just came off of Cy Young. I'm really hoping the Astros bring back Verlander, number one. If they don't bring back Verlander, I'm not gonna cry. I'll be upset, but I won't cry because we do have Brown in the wings to come up to take over. But again, they got Verlander, they got Brantley, Smith, Mancini, Gurriel, Maldonado, Vasquez, Diaz, Castro, Montero, and Barreto. I don't care about Barreto, but I'm okay. Look, I'm okay with them letting go of Brantley because honestly, Brantley wasn't really even a factor in our World Series run. Will Smith, I could care less about. But everybody else, Diaz, they don't bring Diaz back, I'd be okay with. But there's at least 6 guys the Astros are going to have to think about. Verlander being one, Mancini, Gurriel, Maldonado. You got to bring back Maldonado. You got to bring back Vasquez, you know, Montero. So there's at least 5 guys they got to bring back, but that's probably at least 70, 80 million. I think the Astros can do it. But again, you know, we're not the Yankees, okay? We don't have the financial budget like the Yankees do or the Dodgers, you know, and things like that. But I really hope they can work out those contracts because I know for a fact Maldi's a must, Verlander, Vasquez, you know, Montero. Those 4 guys, Gurriel, those 5 guys are must that they got to bring back. You know, the other guys, you know, they need to work with, but man, we got issues, Gonzo.
Anthony says Yankees and Philly have the most free agents this offseason.
They do. Philly's got a lot. Philly's going to have a lot of decisions to make this year, honestly. Because, Gonzo, with the free agents they bring back, how much money are they going to command? And then if you are able to hold on to those guys, what does that leave you to address your weakness? And the weakness is in the bullpen. And if you notice, when the Atlanta Braves and Astros played, like I said this before in the World Series, we lost because of our bullpen. That bullpen is a huge, you know, factor. And so that's going to be the biggest thing for the Phillies. They've got to address their bullpen to get back to the World Series with the current squad they have already. So can they bring back the free agents they currently need to get? And then can they still bolster in the bullpen? Those are the two biggest questions that's going to face Philly going into the offseason, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Damien says, speaking of Dodgers, what's your thoughts on Bauer? New accusers coming out. Do y'all think Dodgers will cut him?
Nobody can care about that. If they cut him or not. That dude, hey, look, that dude is so gone out of baseball.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
He hasn't pitched for a couple years now. So,
but I think But how long is this suspension? He got suspended for a hot minute, didn't he?
Honestly, I'm not sure exactly how long the suspension.
I want to say it was either a year or 2 years. I think at the end of the day,
well, he hasn't pitched for almost 2 seasons now.
Yeah. I think the Dodgers will cut him eventually at some point. I thought they already cut him. I guess I thought they had already cut him. But if he's still with the Dodgers, he's not going to pitch for the Dodgers again, especially with new accusers coming out. I don't see him pitching in the Dodgers uniform again. I don't see that.
I'm looking it up now, and bad thing about it, I was a big Trevor Bauer fan when he was in Cincinnati.
So Damien says he got a 2-year suspension. So 2 years plus 2 years, that's 4 years of not pitching.
Well, no, I think this would have been the second year that he hadn't played, so I think he would be eligible. Let's see.
He should have one more season to go, and then he'll be eligible. So he won't be eligible in 23, but he'll still be eligible in 24.
Bauer hasn't pitched since 2021.
So that would give, if he comes back in 24, that means have not pitched in 3 years.
It says that Commissioner Rob Manfred handed down a 324 game suspension April of this year, which is the longest non-lifetime ban in the history of sport of the sport. So
of baseball, right?
Yeah. So in April it was 324 games. You play 162 games. So yeah, he still has a whole nother season.
And when is this contract up with the Dodgers? Do we know that? He's got to be relatively short. And the reason why I ask when is his contract up is I think that if they do bring him back, it's not going to be at his original salary. It would be, if they do bring him back, it's going to be at a significantly less salary because of the fact of all the things he's gone through. And plus the fact that he hasn't pitched in 3 years. So I don't think he's going to get this great contract, or anything like that. So number one, do the Dodgers give him a contract? And number two, would he accept it if it's at a very significantly discounted rate? Or does he test free agency? And if he tests free agency, who the hell's going to give him a big-ass contract when he ain't pitched in 3 years and he's coming off all these allegations and you don't trust him to stay off the allegations?
They signed him to a 3-year, $103 million deal. But they signed him to a 3-year, and he has a $103 million deal and has a player option for the 2020-23 season is worth $35.3 million and has a $15 million buyout. Just like last year, Bauer is expected to opt in to the remainder of the contract as the legal, because he's battling it in court.
But even if he opts in, surely the Dodgers aren't paying him any money. He lost that money in the contract, right?
It says
he may have a $35 million opt-in, but would he collect on it?
Should the panel rule in Bauer's favor, it could create a troubling financial situation for the Dodgers. LA was on the book for his $35.3 million in 2022 because of the suspension.
Right.
But there could be a retroactive situation if MLB's ruling is overturned. At the very best, if Bauer is reinstated for 2023, the Dodgers will be on the hook for that money, and it'll count against the payroll tax whether he's on the team or not. So at the very worst, they'll have to at least pay him $15 million.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So Bauer at the worst case scenario would collect 15, and that's it. Which would it is what it is. But again, when he comes off the suspension, his contract will have ended, so he'll be up for a new contract, correct?
Yes.
So he'll get so he'll collect the 15 mil worst case scenario. His contract ends, and then he's a free agent at that point. And I cannot imagine.
Excuse me, he would get 35 million if he's on the roster.
Okay, he'll get 30.
The 15 million is a buyout. which I don't understand why
They're going to buy him out. I can't imagine them keeping him. I just don't see that. Not with pitching in 3 years plus all those allegations. I think worst case scenario, the Dodgers are smart. They buy him out and they move on. And I honestly don't think Bauer is going to get it. I think his career is over. That's just me.
It could be, and I hope not. Well, I shouldn't say that. I want to see what happens with all the legal stuff because you never know. I mean, there's 3 sides to every story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I know he's battling for defamation of character against that accuser's lawyer and all that stuff. And then when it's all in court right now. So depending on what comes out of court, but what sucks, I mean, it just sucks though, because the dude was a hell of a pitcher. I mean,
he's a hell of a pitcher, no doubt about it. But from what I heard, what he did with those women, I just can't.
You just can't be stupid, man. I mean, you get a lot of guys that do some stuff that are just questionable. I mean, but I ain't gonna say that he won't play again, just because look what's going on with Deshaun Watson. And
I'm not saying he won't play again. You know what I mean? I just wonder what his salary.
Yeah.
How much of his salary will take a hit?
Oh, yeah. It's going to take a big hit. It's going to take a big hit.
That's what I'm saying. I think I don't see somebody not taking a chance on him.
Yeah, but it'll be more.
But again, I think he's going to be on a very limited deal.
It's going to be more of a prove it deal. And then if you prove that you're still at that level, then he could maybe get a bigger contract. But yeah, when he comes back, once he's done with the Dodgers contract, he's not going to get that big $200 million contract like he had. It's going to be more of a prove it deal because I don't see nobody taking that big of a chance on a guy that hasn't pitched.
But that's the thing though, right, Gonzo? We give all these athletes, no matter how old they are or even really how young they are, as we know, but these guys are getting so much money just thrown at them that if they don't have a good moral upbringing or a good sense of mind to themselves, they just do the most dumbest things ever. And when you get that kind of money and you got that kind of fame, you got to be so protective of everything you do because everybody wants a piece of what you have. And the biggest thing for a man is a woman because you know what I'm saying? Hey, you don't know who to trust, who not to trust. And if she's telling you, hey, I want to be choked out or I want this or I want that, as a pitcher or any athlete, I'm just saying as an example. As a pitcher,
not even an athlete.
Watch this. Let me think. Okay.
Not even an athlete, as a man.
Hey, no. We're not doing that. If that's what you're into, I'll find somebody else.
But Jay, not just an athlete, just as a man. If you got to be careful.
Trust me, I understand.
Especially if you're a man. Yeah. Especially if you're a man that has that money like these athletes do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. The more money, the more fame, the more problems. And when you got problems, you got to be sensible. You got to be sensible. You got to say, okay.
I want you to choke me to wait a minute. You need to sign this paper.
Watch this. No, you know what I would do? Hey, this may be a little crazy, but you know what I'm doing, Gonzo? If a woman says she wants this from me, I'll be like, all right, I tell you what, tomorrow morning, I'm going to make an appointment with the lawyer. We're going to meet down there. I need you to sign a certain set of documents. And then, and on top of that, I need a witness. Hey, I need a witness in the room with us. Yeah. So if you don't mind having a witness and a set of documents signed by my lawyer, hey, game on.
Either a witness or it's videotape. So we have video of.
Yes, you gotta be 10 times ahead of all the people that are coming to try to get what you have. And let me tell you something about human nature. People want what you have. And if you're a woman and a man has what you want financially, I'm just saying, get you a lawyer and get you a witness.
And let's make sure we say this as well. There's men that that'll try to do the same thing to women as well.
Oh yeah, hey.
So it goes both ways. Yeah.
Trust me. Hey, look. Yeah, hey, look. There's some gigolos out there. Let's not pretend.
Hey, exactly what Anthony said. I need you to sign it. My lawyer's in the next room with a security camera.
No, but Gonzo, we say these things, but you know what? Honestly, with the way the world is these days, is it what we're saying really far-fetched?
No, it's not. I mean, because look, especially with the way cancel culture is now, people are always out to try to get people. It's a crazy world.
You see it every day. You see it every day, but it's interesting.
Price says, welcome to America.
Hey, listen. Hey, you're right. Welcome to America.
Damien says Watson shouldn't play in his opinion. I don't have a problem with him.
He wasn't found guilty. Okay, he was not found guilty. Do what it is you will. If you're not found guilty,
I think something happened. Yeah, I think something happened because there's that many women, but he ain't ever been charged with a criminal thing, and he's went through the appeals and everything. He's serving a suspension. I mean, I don't have a problem with him being able to play again.
Let me ask you a question. I saw this on Facebook. Ohtani, since we're in the baseball realm of things, Ohtani, they've already said they're not going to trade Ohtani this year. If you're Ohtani, do you go to management and say, hey, look, I really am requesting a trade to get out of this purgatory? Or do you, I don't know if Ohtani would do that, but at the same time, and even if you're the Angels, you got to think to yourself, okay, yeah, I have Ohtani. I have a great pitcher. No, I have one really great player. I got a second really great player in Trout, but Trout's only available when he's not hurt. At what point, if you're an Angels ownership or Angels GM, do you say, look, I got two good players, but that's it. I can't build off these two because the two people that I do have aren't going to be around by the time I rebuild this club to where it needs to be because I don't have enough free agents to bring in because I don't have the money. At what point do you start getting rid of those guys for draft picks? Or do you keep them just to have a little bit of clout to keep you somewhat relevant?
I think one of them might be gone this year, and I think it might be Trout just because of his injury issues. Because I don't like that you've already said they came out and said they're not trading Ohtani, but hey, you never know what's going to happen. But I think they're going to put more money in Ohtani than Trout just because of Trout's injury issues.
And I tell you what, but let me ask you this: if you're Trout. If you're Trout, are you pissed off? Because maybe now if you're Trout and you are healthy, maybe you can go to a contender.
If I'm Trout, I'm not going to be mad because what kind of market? What kind of market is there going to be for Trout on the free agency market, dude?
Bro, if I'm Trout, if I'm Trout, I'm begging for go ahead, please. For the love of God.
You're telling me the Houston Astros, if they had a chance to get Trout, they wouldn't take him?
Hey, what they say? Hey, what they say in soccer when you score? Hey, because you know what I would do? No, seriously, I would go to Trout. That's a hey, look, Trout. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take the defensive liability and put Alvarez back in left field. It's a short porch. He can cover it. We'll deal with it. And we're going to have you just be the DH. All I want you to do is just club the ball over the damn fence every time. Just club it.
And with DH being universal now, you're going to see a lot of these players' careers get extended because they can just DH and don't have to play in the field.
And if the Trout goes to a DH spot, especially as you know how injury prone he's been, if he goes to the DH spot, I think he doesn't have any issues. I think he rides that off into the sunset, and I don't think he gets injured because he doesn't have to run. He doesn't have to die. All he's got to do is go to the plate and swing the bat. That's it. Swing the bat, run your bases, or jog your bases. Hell, you ain't got to do that. I'll treat you like the Bambino. You just hit the ball, get to first, and then I'll put a pinch runner in it for you.
Especially late in the game.
You know what I'm saying? Damn.
It's 8th inning. You probably ain't going to get the bat again anyway. We'll put a pinch runner in for you.
I'd be like, Devon, get your skinny ass on first. Go run for Trout.
Real quick before we move on, Anthony says, what happened to the 26 woman that came out in the Watson case? I haven't heard any more about that.
I haven't heard nothing else on that woman.
Damon said he wasn't.
But then again, court cases don't happen quickly. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little while.
Damon said he wasn't found guilty because he didn't allow the woman to prove when they asked if they could record the session or sign the paper.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, real quick before I know we got to go to the movie call, but I do want to ask you a question. You know, as you've seen earlier, the finalists for the MVP have come down to Ohtani and Judge. Okay, it is what it is. I can't compete.
Alvarez was a finalist.
Yeah, but Alvarez won't get it based on regular season. I will tell you this. This is just my opinion, and it don't mean a whole hell of a lot. Literally, it really doesn't. I went down to Goodwill yesterday, and I tried to trade my opinion in for a pair of tennis shoes, and they said, Jay, we can't even give your opinion away. And it is what it is. But I want to say this. If you look at Alvarez regular season, if you look at Judge's regular season, 62 home runs, phenomenal. Nobody's going to doubt 62 home runs and what it meant for that Yankees organization, what it meant for him. The 62 home runs was amazing.
Yep.
But as a whole, clutch key situations, how many times have we seen Alvarez in key situations give you that home run time and time and time and time again? Not to mention, how many times did we see it in the Seattle series, which won the series for them? We also saw him towards the end of the Yankees 4-game sweep where he hit the home run. But mostly, when the World Series Game 6 goes to Houston and Alvarez gives you a 450-foot bomb, which basically cemented Houston as the World Series champions, I have a problem, and I've always had a problem with regular season awards. I think regular season awards are stupid. I think postseason awards are more important because that's where it really matters. And if you ask me, if we combine regular season and postseason and what you meant to baseball, I'm going to give you Alvarez every day of the week, because Judge always in key moments, when the game is on the line, when your team needs you the most, Alvarez will give you that game-winning home run, that walk-off in Seattle, and Judge will always give you the strikeout. And I can show you a million strikeouts that he gave when Houston was pitching against him. But yet, I'm going to tell you how it's going to work out. Ohtani's a hell of a player, but Judge will wind up being your MVP. It's going to be Judge.
Oh yeah, I think Judge will get the MVP as well.
But he don't deserve it, my book. I don't think damn.
I think Judge will be the MVP of the American League. The National League one is what's interesting to me because you have two guys off the same team.
I think Goldschmidt. I think you gotta give it to Goldschmidt.
Yeah, I think Goldschmidt gets it, but how often do you have two guys on the same team?
Yeah, that really. No, seriously, when I looked at that, I didn't realize how good even that St. Louis offense is.
And Arenado he deserves to be a finalist. It's just crazy that you have two guys on the same team.
And let me say this: since the baseball season is over with, I just want to give flowers. I want to give a big ass bouquet of flowers to Albert Pujols, because if you watch his career after he left St. Louis, he went to the Angels, he went to the Dodgers, and then he went back to St. Louis. But when he left St. Louis, he kind of took a dip down with the A's. He still got his home runs every now and then, but he kind of took a dip down. When he went to the Dodgers, it was kind of like I'm just trying to get maybe a couple more home runs. But when he came back to St. Louis, it was almost like we saw a reborn Albert Pujols. It's almost like we have flashbacks to the Albert Pujols that he was before he left St. Louis. And the way he was hitting the ball out the park, and the fact that he is now a member of the 700 club, I just got to tip my hat, Albert. Hey,
oh, yeah.
I'm like that. You got massive flowers, Bubba.
Just think what his numbers might have looked.
By the way, one last thing. He's the only player born outside the U.S. They got that neighborhood.
But just think about this, OJ. Just think if he would have stayed in St. Louis and wouldn't have had those years with the Angels, what his numbers might have been.
Yeah, good question. Because he loved that ballpark.
Well, that and plus when he went to the Angels, he had some injury issues. He still put up decent numbers, but not the numbers that we were accustomed to seeing. I ain't gonna lie. I wonder
if Pujols would have went to a smaller ballpark, though. Hey, watch this. I wonder if Pujols would have started his career in a smaller ballpark, whether it be a Milwaukee or a Colorado or a Houston or whatever. Could you imagine how many more home runs that dude would have had in a smaller ballpark?
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, just for selfish reasons, I want them to play one more year because
yeah, me too.
Even if he played one more year and hit the ball like he did this year, he could have had a chance to be the all-time home
I
run
don't think
guy.
he gets to 755.
Well,
I
if
don't
he
think,
played
but I tell you, but I
one
do
or
think
two more seasons he could. One or two more seasons he'd
yeah,
have a
well,
chance.
okay, yeah, one or two more. But I don't want to be the narrative that he had to play 30 seasons just to amass what Hank
but I
Aaron
mean,
did in
I think
half.
he still could have played at least one more season at a high level. I think he could have played
I
one
would
more
have
year at
liked
a high
one more
level.
season out of him. I would have liked one more season and have him sit right underneath Barry Bonds. Well, because Barry Bonds passed up Hank Aaron, didn't he? Am I correct, or is he under Hank Aaron?
Oh man! Of course, you have to
Hank
ask.
Aaron had 755. I don't remember what Barry Bonds' final number was.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'll look it
But I
up.
know he would have been in top. Had he gone one more year, he would have been top 3. He would have passed because Babe Ruth hits what 714. I think he topped out around 702 or 703. One more year, he would have eclipsed Babe, and I think he would have been pushing either Hank Aaron or Barry Bonds for that third spot.
All right. Let's see. Barry Bonds holds the major league home run record with 762.
Okay, so he passed Hank Aaron.
He passed
So
Hank Aaron, who has
so
755.
Bonds, Aaron, Ruth, and then now Pujols.
Ruth
I
has
think Pujols plays one more season.
Ruth has
He
714.
might get to Hank Aaron.
Yep.
He'll either get to Hank Aaron.
He passed Ruth.
But he'll definitely pass Ruth.
Yeah, because he's only about 10, 11. He's 11 from Ruth.
But here's the deal, Gonzo, and I want you to look at it from this perspective. You don't have to get to the number one spot because the number one spot, it's almost like you're playing years to get to the one spot, but did you really deserve it? And I'm gonna say why. If Babe Ruth played, and I forget how many actual seasons, but if Babe Ruth played 16 seasons and he gets to 714 and you play 22 to get to 731, does the 731 really mean a whole lot when you played 8 more seasons than what Ruth played? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Or not that it doesn't make sense, but it loses its validity. It loses the validity the longer you play to get to that level.
Yeah, if you had to play 6 or 7 years longer than the guy that had the record,
it's not as valid.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, yeah, you got the record, but it don't. To me, it don't hold, like you said, it don't hold as much validity because it took you double or 4 or 5 more years.
Right.
But I want let's move
let's move on to football because actually Nathaniel, his last comment kind of, I guess, should segue into football. Oh, by the way, Anthony Price did say that Brandon Hyde wins Manager of the Year. I give it. Hey, I'm not gonna knock Hyde. I'm gonna knock him. Hey,
I was actually going to move to football anyway, but we can.
I guess Nate said, "Hey, move on to football, guys. I'm tired of hearing Jay talk."
He says, "I actually believe that 3 out of the 4 best teams in the AFC are in the AFC East."
I'm inclined to agree with him. I'm very inclined to agree with him. It's crazy. I mean, let me ask you this. There was a time period where the Bills were ranked number 2 in the power rankings. And if you go in there and you look right now in the power rankings, you're going to see the Bills at number 4, which is really crazy to me. Gonzo, I'm only going to give you one guess and one guess only. Who's number 5? And it's going to surprise you. It's going to surprise the shit out of me. Who do you think is at number 5?
I haven't looked at it, but I'm going to say the Jets, just the way that you're talking.
Oh, Cowboys.
Cowboys are 5.
Now, Gonzo, the reason why I'm surprised is I wouldn't put I'm a Cowboys fan. Everybody knows I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm a very realistic person. And I don't think the Cowboys have done
Cowboys fans aren't realistic people, man.
No, they're not. That's why I'm this freaking anomaly. Hey, look, I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm also a realistic person, okay? I'm not going to sit here and toot my horn if I don't have a horn worth tooting. And I got to be honest with you, the Cowboys still got some holes to address, I think, before we can really, truly claim a number 5 spot. And I'll tell you, though, Jerry, it sounds like things are lining up
That was
It's
going
not
to be
like
my
you
question.
really want
That was going to be my question to you: is
Odell Beckham.
what chance do you think of
I think we got a damn
Dallas,
good chance.
Dallas has to get no OBJ?
Yeah.
That was what I was going to lead off with.
Yeah,
With you.
because I think Jerry. Well, number one, we know Odell Beckham wants more than just a 1 year. He's already come out and publicly said that he does not just want a 1 year deal. He's tired of unpacking his suitcases. Was his actual terminology? So he's looking for a 3 to 4. I think Jerry will give him a 3 to 4. The question for me is how much is Jerry going to give him per year in that 3 to 4? That's the question. But honestly, I think Vikings, I think Cowboys, and I think no, I'm gonna leave it. And I think if I had to give a third team, I would say maybe Buffalo. Because he wants to go to a spot, number one, that has championship aspirations. The Rams,
and
the
Von
Rams
Miller,
are not the team anymore that has championship aspirations.
Von Miller has really been
and Von Miller
putting it out there trying to get him to Buffalo, and him and Von Miller are real close. So I think it's going to be probably Dallas or Buffalo is where I think he might end up in. I can see him maybe with the Vikings because they look like they could be a contender. What about this?
My question isn't so much.
I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what if the 49ers went after him and added him over there with McCaffrey and Samuel and them guys?
Because then what would you have? You would have Samuel when he comes back from injury. You're gonna have Ayuk.
Yep.
You're gonna have
Kittle.
OBJ, and then you're gonna have Kittles as your tight end. We know what Kittles does.
And you got McCaffrey that can catch the ball.
And then you got McCaffrey.
I mean, that can make
seriously, if you're Garoppolo, you're like, bring his ass on. We need one more guy. And if you're Debo, you're like, hell yeah, bring his ass over. And if you're Ayuk, you're like, okay, maybe he gets a double team, and maybe that increases my numbers. I mean, yeah, would he fit there? Absolutely. If you're Dallas, you got CD, Gallup, and CD, Gallup, and who was their third guy? I think they had Brown. But if you add an Odell Beckham Jr., if you're a CD, you're going to probably get doubled. If you're OBJ, you're probably going to get doubled. Oh, let me see. That leaves Gallup. And if I'm Gallup, I'm going to go back to my glory days when I was getting all the balls. I was getting 1,000-yard seasons. Who was the guy getting double teamed? It was CD and it was Amari Cooper.
Yep. So
you're telling me that if OBJ comes here and CD's here and Brown, even if you're Brown, hell, Brown might be saying, fuck, throw me in as a fourth guy. I know I'm going to get some damn catches. And if you're Schultz and if you're Gallup, it really plays into those guys not being double teamed. And I think we go back to the Gallup that we saw, when before the 49ers beat him when he had torn the ACL. And not to mention Gonzo, we already know what the Dallas Cowboys defense brings. If you add a guy like OBJ to the offense, and you know what really, and you know what else kind of makes me crazy is if you look at Pollard for the running back, Pollard actually is truly the only legitimate running back the Dallas Cowboys truly have. If you watch Pollard, the last game he played was over 100 yards rushing. He gets more yards per carry than Zeke does. And if I'm Jerry, before the trade deadline, I'd have been looking for anybody to give me draft picks to take on Zeke. I'm just saying. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but if you look at Zeke and where Zeke is now when we first drafted him, Zeke ain't Zeke no more. No. And at this point, I would love to get some draft picks for a guy like Zeke.
At this point, the thing Zeke does better than Pollard is pass protection.
You can say that too.
That's the thing that's the only real thing that Zeke Zeke's bringing to you guys as much. He's not. Don't get me wrong. He'll have some games where he'll get like run for 80 yards or so, but he's not that consistent Zeke like he was when you got first 3-4 years. Now, but that's what they use him for a lot now is pass protection because he's a lot, which is understandable because Pollard is a younger guy. He's just now starting to get more playing time. I think as more Pollard gets to play more, I think he'll get better at the pass protection. But that's really Pollard's, to me, Pollard's only weakness right now is the pass protection, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He has a burst.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a quick dude. He can run. I just think once he gets that pass protection down, he's really going to be good for you guys.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I'm kind of surprised that Dallas maybe didn't try to see what they could get for Zeke.
No doubt. Because like I said, he went 14 carries for 131 and 3 touchdowns against the Bears.
Anthony Price asked, what about OBJ to the Chiefs? Said who can make OBJ?
Oh yeah, I mean, good. I don't know, man. I don't know. They already got Kelsey, Scantling, and
I'll tell you what,
Smith-Schuster.
Smith-Schuster's starting to step up for him.
The problem with Kansas City is not, at this point, it's not wide receivers. The problem for Kansas City is running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon, they're just not getting the job done. And that's really where Kansas City suffers, is in the running game. So Kansas City needs a running back more than they need to bring in an OBJ.
Yeah.
I hope Zeke is on the market next year. Hey, it's time for the Cowboys to move on from Zeke. It just is.
And he said Cowboys getting 2 injured wide receiver on the same team. That's smart, laughing out loud.
Anthony, stop it. Stop it, Anthony. They're not injured. Gallup is healthy, and we all know that OBJ is going to be healthy when he comes. Well, but I see the pun intended, though. Yes. Are they injury prone? Yes.
He's supposed to be getting, the way they're talking, he's getting ready to get cleared. OBJ is, right?
He'll be cleared. He'll be cleared by Sunday. No, he'll be cleared by Sunday. Here's the deal, though. OBJ wants a situation where he can go in and prove himself. Because the knock on OBJ, as Anthony Price just pointed out, is injuries. So he wants a 3-year deal to prove himself that he can stay healthy and get the job done. I think if you're the Cowboys, you bring OBJ in, but in a contract clause, you put in there, hey, if you're out, if you miss X number of games due to injury, then it goes against your salary. And maybe there's a certain provision there for how much money the Cowboys can save if he goes on the injury. Does that make sense? Like, you got to put some clauses in there that will protect the Cowboys. If you give them a long-term 3 or 4 year deal, there needs to be clauses in there that protects them financially if that happens.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't think they're going to give him, even if he gets a 3-year deal, it's not going to be like a real big deal. It's going to be more.
It won't be.
I think there'll be some incentives. There'll be incentives in there to make it worth more. Who don't use wide receivers like that and that need help? Ravens. Yeah, Ravens do need help at wide receiver because Andrews didn't play last night. That's the number 1 target. He's a tight end.
Yeah. The problem for that, though, is the Ravens are a run-first team. Honestly, the Ravens are the kind of team that don't need a number 1 wideout.
Their best wide receiver.
They need a solid wideout, but they don't need a number 1. Not with the way that their offense flows. Their offense flows through Lamar Jackson's ability to throw the ball when it needs to be thrown, but he's a run-first quarterback. His first mind is to run, second one is to pass. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're a number 1 wideout, do you really want to go to the Ravens? Is that really the scheme that you want to walk into?
Well, I can understand that, but he has thrown 16 touchdowns so far. But I understand what you're saying there. They do run the ball a lot. And
I mean, I guess to your point, what you're saying, Gonzo, is if he wants to be the number 2 option to Mark Andrews, I mean, that's fine. It is what it is. And that's what OBJ thinks. I don't.
If he thinks that he can go there and compete, but I don't. Like I said, I don't see him going to Baltimore. But Anthony is right. Look, they do need some help at the wide receiver position.
But I am going to make a Gonzo, if I can, I do want to make a bold prediction, and I will bet Pride's ass to come on here and start screaming and hollering about how I'm wrong. But I'm going to tell you right now, as long as Lamar Jackson is with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, you'll never see the Super Bowl. Well, and if you see the Super Bowl, he will not win it for you. He will not win you a Super Bowl because you cannot have a run-first quarterback. I don't care how talented he is at running first. Well, you cannot have a run-first quarterback and win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen.
And Anthony's right on this because I watched that game last night. His accuracy last night.
No, his accuracy was terrible. It was.
He missed a guy.
I'm saying if your first mission, though, Gonzo, if your first mission is to run the ball, if you're or even still, if you're a more of a running back, or at the most simplest terms, if you're a running back that can throw the ball at a halfway decent rate, and you think that's going to get you a Super Bowl, in the history of the NFL, that has never, ever, ever, ever happened.
There's one way it could. There is one way it could work, but right now, like last night, he missed a wide open guy that would have had a touchdown a couple times. His accuracy was bad last night. The only way they would work when you're running the ball like that is your defense. Your defense has to be like the old.
And that's how I know me and you are on the same point, because that's what I was thinking in my head. I said, if Gonzo says defense, we're on the same point.
It has to be like the old Ravens defense.
Yeah. It has to be the Mark Flacco, Ray Lewis, and Suggs, and what was the Gonzo? Who was the secondary guy that was freaking awesome? Starts with an M. His last name starts with an M. I can't. It's not coming to my brain right now.
I can't think of it either.
It's not coming to my brain right now. But that the Ravens had a great secondary, and they also had great linebackers. God, it was a good defense. Jesus. Let me ask you this. Since we're on defense, I got one question. If I told you had one or two options as your defensive unit, the first option being Legion of Doom when they won the Super Bowl, the other option being a Ray Lewis led with Suggs, Joe Flacco's Super Bowl defense, which one are you picking?
Probably the Ravens.
That's what I'm going to. Because I will tell you,
I think the defense.
That's just because of Ray Lewis.
I think the defense when Trent Dilfer was the quarterback might have been even a little bit better than that one.
Possibly. I just think Legion of Doom, as good as Legion of Doom was.
Oh my God.
And Legion of Doom was badass. It was never better. It was never better than. I'm not even gonna read that. It was never better than a Ray Lewis led Baltimore Ravens defense. That Ray Lewis led defense was just fucking killer. Jay, that is bullshit. Mahomes is a run first quarterback.
Mahomes is not a run first.
Why do we even talk about this guy?
Mahomes scrambles and throws the ball. He's not a run first quarterback. He runs when he has to run.
No, hold on. So it's run first, but when we think about Kansas City offense, outside of the Mahomes, who do you think of? Kelce. And the first thing that comes to mind is Kelce. The second thing that comes to mind is Tyreek Hill. And you think they're run first.
Now this year it's Kelce and Smith-Schuster.
And Scantling. Don't forget Scantling. He's actually pretty decent.
Damian did ask you a question. And I'll let you answer this question because you're the Cowboys fan.
Why would Cowboys want to have seen Peyton as head coach when McCarthy is everyone else? No. Why? Man, if you got to ask that question, you obviously haven't been watching football. Okay, I'm going to make it very simple. That's going to be a very short statement. McCarthy equals antiquated. Peyton equals creativity. If you want one more, I'm going to give you one more. McCarthy equals lack of leadership and fundamentals. Peyton equals fundamentals and discipline. Because what is one of the Cowboys' worst things? Penalties. You ask me, go watch the San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys playoff game, and you'll see the first half riddled in penalties. You would not have seen that in the Sean Payton-led team. So discipline, creativity, ability to lead your team are three aspects that Payton has over McCarthy every day of the week. What a crazy question to ask me.
Anthony, I actually saw that someone said this morning Lamar not living up to the big deal. And honestly, what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to franchise tag him again. Because I think what they're going to do, I think they're going to sign Roquan Smith, because I don't think they brought him in to be an 8-game rental. So I don't think so either. He's on a contract. I think they're going to try to get that contract with Smith, franchise Lamar again, see how next season goes, and then make a final. I think it's going to end up being kind of like the Kirk Cousins situation, how Washington franchise tagged him twice. And I think it's going to be like that.
If you put Damien's comment up there, I'm gonna slap you, Gonzo. Don't you do it. Don't fucking do it.
Hey, you're
Don't do it, Gonzo. Because if
Hey,
you
Jay,
do it, I'm
you
gonna
got to come a
slap you.
long way. You got to come a long way to slap me.
Melanie, get the car ready. We going to Indiana.
We got a road trip. What in the
He
hell?
said road. No, but for real,
What in the hell is
I
Adam
agree with
Schefter
you on
doing?
that though.
Have you seen this picture of Adam Schefter or this video with Adam Schefter with his shirt off and all the chains on like Kirk Cousins? Wow.
If I see that again, no, because no, Gonzo. Why are you gonna ask me that? We just showed him yesterday with it on.
No, that was Kirk Cousins. I'm talking about Adam Schefter.
I don't think I've seen the Adam Schefter. No,
he's on TV right now and he has the shirt off and all them chains on going like that. I ain't gonna lie. I had to turn freaking ESPN off earlier. They got me. They're pissing me off.
So, and I said to Lamar, and I've said this always in my life. I've got one mantra.
Give me a second. I'll look that up because I'm not sure how much that the tag would be if they tag Lamar. But I'll try to look it up.
And by the way, you can only tag 2 times. Yep. After the second tag, you either cut him or you give him the money. Now, here's the deal. Lamar, I've always said a person a person's a fool if he has himself as a client. If you have yourself as a client, you're a fool. And Lamar doesn't know all the facts of the NFL to be able to make a smart executive decision on which way to go. And I think we saw that. Number one, he's riding the franchise tag. He's not playing like he should be playing to deserve the contract for which he's going to ask for. Number 3, if they franchise him a second time, he's still not going to get the money that he wants per year. And not only that, but he's still putting his body at risk as a run-first quarterback that could either A, give him a career-ending injury, B, give him an injury that takes him out for a year. But C, mostly, if anything happens to you during that year, you're affecting your contract status for the following year. And the following year is the year you're trying to get paid for. Think about that. There's so many things going against Lamar to try to get that quote unquote above a $50 million a year and or a fully guaranteed contract like Watson got, like Aaron Rodgers got. Lamar, if you hurt yourself in any way, shape, or form in the next 2 years, if you're willing to ride that out, kudos if you make it to the end unscathed to get the contract. But I don't think but at the end of the day, I still don't think he gets the contract.
Hey, Anthony, from what I just found, it's saying that the 2023 franchise tag for the QB will be close to $45 million. They're saying 45.4 million, and it says that's thanks in large part to Deshaun Watson's $55 million cap hit.
Right.
Because you get that, so you get the league you get like the league average is what you get in franchise. So you get like 45 million if he gets franchise tagged again.
And again, so that puts a $5 million underneath Rodgers and Gonzo. The question I have for you on this, and I don't know if you know the answer because I certainly don't know the answer to this. If you're riding a $45 million franchise tag, let's say you get injured week 6 and it's a season-ending injury, do you see the full 45 or do you get only up to what you played?
I think you get the I think he would get the 45, but then you're not under contract anymore.
No. Well, I was gonna say, okay, so that's what I'm saying. So if I get injured in the franchise tag, I get the full tag, but we don't know what's after the tag.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen after that because you might not get signed with them.
I wasn't sure if he got the full tag or
he's taking a big risk. He's taking a big risk because I mean he gave up a lot of guarantee. He gave up what? Wasn't it like 165 million guaranteed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he wanted
45 million, 165 million,
230 like
Wait, Gonzo, are you telling me, if I understand you correctly, and I'm not a mathematician, but if I pass up on 165 to get a 45, and I get injured in the 45 in his season injuring, and I don't get what I'm supposed to get afterwards, that I just gave up $120 million?
Yep.
What a time to be alive. How do you live with yourself, being yourself as a fool for a client?
See, Kirk Cousins. Well, the crazy thing is, Kirk Cousins has done the same thing, and he had an agent, and he done the same thing.
Yeah.
Damien says Lamar is winning games. How is he not playing like a good quarterback when he's winning games? I'll read what Anthony Price said, Damien, because that's exactly right. Lamar didn't win that game last night. Ravens defense carried him.
My question to you is,
he was struggling throwing the ball last night. Did you watch the game, Jay?
No, I watched halfway through it, and then I flipped it on to the wife, wanted to watch the Dahmer thing, and
I haven't watched that yet. I've heard that's good.
It's good. It's good, but I'm telling you, do not drink when you're watching Jeffrey Dahmer.
I watched the one on was it Gacy?
Yeah, no. Watch the Dahmer. The Dahmer one is done. Oh, by the way, when you watch Dahmer on Netflix, and you see Dahmer's father, and the actor that plays Dahmer's father is the same guy that was the father in Step Brothers.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I'm just saying, Gonzo, when you watch Dahmer and you see his dad come on, you're going to be like, oh, my God, it's the guy from Step Brothers. Anyway, how crazy it is to go from Step Brothers to Dahmer. Oh, my God. Talk about playing completely different roles. It is amazing. But no, seriously, if you're the Ravens and you're coming into a contract year with Lamar, before you give him that second, before you put a second tag on him, you're going to try to make a few deals here and there. What do you give? What do you offer him? Because he wants to fully guarantee. I don't know if he so much wants Aaron Rodgers $50 million a year as much as he wants the guarantee. So what do you do with a guy like Lamar, given what the quarterback situation looks like on the open market? What do you give a guy like Lamar? Or do you franchise him? And deal with that shit next year?
I think that's what they're going to do, because I don't think they have enough money to pay both Roquan Smith and Lamar.
Of course they don't.
This year. And I don't see him spend. I don't see Roquan Smith being a rental. So I think that they're going to franchise Lamar, and then they'll pay Roquan Smith, and then they'll make a decision. And Anthony says the Ravens know if they pay
throw
Lamar.
That up there, because that's true. If you throw that much money into somebody, it's really going to hurt your team. And you really got to think about, there's a lot of things to think about.
Hey, here's an example. Don't get me wrong, Rodgers is a better quarterback, but look how much money he took, and now the team can't put no weapons around him.
Exactly. So, and to that point, my thing is, at what point, and I don't know what draft capital the Ravens have, but at what point do you say, hey, let me think for a minute. I think Bryce Young, a guy like Hooker, a guy like, May from North Carolina, which we know what May has done with North Carolina. You probably may not know, because I don't know how many people pay attention to North Carolina, but May is putting up Heisman-like numbers at North Carolina.
Hey, May's tough.
Yeah, but again, the knock against May is what people are going to say is, well, he doesn't play the kind of competition, blah, blah, blah.
Hey, you know what? That's what people said about Josh Allen.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I'm right there with you. What I'm saying is, there's at least 4 quarterbacks coming into the league next year that are pretty good quarterbacks. So at what point, if you're the Ravens, do you say, you know what? Maybe we should take a gamble on one of those 4 and move up in the draft to try to capture one of those 4? You know what I'm saying? Do we like, how far do we push it? Like, how much? Because if I tell you right now, if I'm the Ravens, I'll give up a couple of firsts and then a couple of seconds to try to get up into that top 5 spot to nab one of those 4 guys. Maybe it's not May. Maybe it's Bryce Young. Maybe it's a guy like Hooker. I think Hooker's a better guy. I like Hooker's ability to run, and I like Hooker's ability to pass. I think he's that dual threat, like a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes, that maybe the Ravens kind of should be looking for. So I think Hooker is the more valuable guy. Not to discount what Bryce Young has done.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Hooker, I like Hooker too. I'm actually hoping if the Colts get a high draft pick that we can land Hooker.
Exactly, because I think he's the kind of prototypical quarterback that you see that is successful in the NFL right now. Like I said, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray at the lower level.
Yep.
These guys all have two things in common: they're mobile and they can pass.
Yep. And I know a lot of people saw Hooker's stock dropped because they got beat by Georgia and he didn't play well. Every quarterback has a bad game every now and then. Nobody's perfect. And if you watched, Tennessee's offensive line just got ran over by Georgia's defensive line. I mean, it wasn't like Hooker had a whole lot of time.
Oh, and let me ask you this. If you're Baltimore, here's my problem I have, Gonzo, and I'm just going to put this out there. My problem I have is I think these NFL owners are giving these guys all this damn money because there's nobody else in the market that's better than them, and they figure I'll keep the guy that I have just by throwing money to keep the guy that I have. But here's the deal. They do this with the issue of not giving them any kind of accountability in the contract. So what I'm saying is this: hey, Lamar, you want a fully guaranteed contract, right? Okay, this is what I need in a rate of return. I need you to get better at your completion percentage. I need you to get better at your quarterback rating. In terms of getting that, because we know what you can do as a runner. As a runner, Lamar Jackson is probably the best running back in the NFL. I'll give Lamar Jackson the best running back in the NFL. The guy he can run his ass off. The problem I have with Lamar Jackson is his completion percentage and his ability to be a run-first guy. I don't need Lamar to be a run-first guy. I need Lamar Jackson to be 50% mobile and 50% passer. I need the full package. And Lamar Jackson does not give me the full package like Patrick Mahomes does or Josh Allen does. So you want the Quan. Not to go back to Jerry Maguire, but you want the Quan. Well, if you want the freaking Quan, give me the freaking passing percentage and the freaking quarterback rating that I need from you. I need guys that want to come here to be a wide receiver one because you're a quarterback that can make the wide receiver one a wide receiver one and not just a backup for when the run doesn't work and then you got to dish the ball off.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There needs to be something in their contracts that stipulates if you don't give me a certain percentage of passing, a certain QBR, then we have the right to take money away from you.
Anthony Price makes a good point here. Lamar needs to learn from Vic. Vic was running all the time. Then he started passing more, and that's when he really was real dangerous. Once he got what you remember, if you think about Michael Vick, once he got got where his passing was on point, hey, that dude.
Which I think is the more, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the Vic that we saw in Philadelphia.
Yep.
What a time to be alive. And that's the point. If Vic can learn, then Lamar needs to say, you know what? Hey, I'm a QB one more than I am a running back one. And I need to find that balance of being a QB one that when the play breaks down and the guys are covered, I can go and be a running back one. But if my first thought is to run before it is to pass, if I don't know defense, if I can't call audibles, if I can't put my team in a situation, because he has a running back mentality. I need him to have a field general mentality. Do you know what I'm saying? The field general can pass, run, see, make audible changes. I mean, he can dictate. Lamar can't dictate.
Well, and if you watch Allen and Mahomes, when they start scrambling, they're looking to throw the ball before they ever take off and run. And a lot of times Lamar's the opposite. If he sees the play breaking down, he's running.
I don't want to say Lamar's an uneducated quarterback, but he's an uneducated quarterback.
But some of this has to go. Some of this goes
he's
on.
He's an uneducated quarterback.
Hey, but some of this goes on the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff, the quarterback.
I agree too,
because he's been there going on his 5th year.
It goes all the way back. What? It goes to Harbaugh. It goes,
Yeah.
and I don't even know who
You
their
got-
damn GM. I
you
haven't
got- you
researched
gotta
all
develop-
three
you
of their
gotta
GM, but it
develop
goes to GM and it goes to ownership.
Yeah, your coaches should be developing your player.
If I'm the GM, I'm talking to Harbaugh and I'm saying, "Hey, Harbaugh, we got a stud as a quarterback, but the problem is the stud isn't fully developed. It's like we're only getting 50% output instead of 100% output from the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like when you have a V8, but your V8 is only operating on 4 cylinders. I need the other 4 cylinders to operate so I get maximum horsepower from my engine. And right now, Lamar Jackson doesn't have the ability to give you a full 100% horsepower coming out the other end of that engine. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Damien,
Crazy.
you could say that. You could say that about every team that was almost every team that was in the top 4 when they came out with the college football player that they haven't played nobody. Ohio State hasn't played a tough schedule. Georgia's schedule hasn't been real tough. They played Tennessee. Tennessee played Alabama, but you can say that about almost all 4 of the teams in there that they've played an easy schedule. You can't control how good a team is.
Speaking on what Damien's talking about, I want to go back to yesterday's show where we were talking about the Eagles, and a lot of people took issue with what I had issue with the Eagles. My issue with the Eagles is this. The Eagles are 8-0, and I'm not taking that 8-0 away from them because they did beat Dallas and they did beat the Vikings. So I'm not trying to take that 8-0 away
from them. They played the easiest schedule in the NFL.
But no, I'm not saying their schedule is the easiest in the NFL by far. But it is pretty. What I'm saying is, but to your point,
Jay. But from now to the rest of the season, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL left.
I'll be honest with you, man. I let the show yesterday, not because I had somewhere to run, but because I got tired of talking to a guy like Pride. I can't communicate. I can't talk. I can't talk, period. When you got a guy like Pride, you can't talk with him because he has one thought process, and that thought process is to tear down another podcaster versus what's really going on. And what's really going on is this, and the point I was trying to make yesterday is this. If you look at the schedule, the Eagles played the Vikings, which I thought was a true competitive matchup, and they played the Cowboys. Now, I'm a Cooper Rush guy, too. I love Cooper Rush because what he did in the interim with Dak Prescott not being there was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I don't want to take away from Dak either because Dak has issues in the postseason. That's Dak's knack. Dak's knack is in the postseason. Another knack to Dak is the play calling from the offensive side as well, and the way Mike McCarthy's antiquated system works. So Dak is not where Dak should be because Dak's coaching isn't where it should be. Dak's play calling probably isn't where it should be. Dak is a pretty damn good quarterback. I don't think you throw for 5,000 yards in a season and not be a good quarterback. I don't think that's possible. I think the problem is that Cooper Rush hasn't played enough NFL football at the starting level against highly competitive defenses like what Eagles brought to him. And so he needs more seasoning, a lot more seasoning for a guy like Cooper Rush to be effective. But don't take that away from Cooper Rush because Cooper Rush is a good quarterback. He needs more seasoning to get to the next level. And he doesn't have that opportunity sitting under Dak. It just doesn't happen that way. But don't take that away from Cooper Rush. Yeah. That's not his fault that he doesn't have the seasoning or the experience to play against the tougher defenses. However, Dak does have the experience to play against those defenses. And I would be surprised when Cowboys go up against the Eagles. That's going to be the true testament, I think. I think the Cowboys and Eagles game with Dak at the helm is going to be the testament, especially if Dallas is smart enough, and I don't know that they are. With the current regime at the helm, I don't know if they're smart enough. But if I'm Dallas Cowboys and I'm going up against the Eagles, especially with the fact that it has brought in Quinn as a defensive end from Chicago, and we know how good Quinn has been. and what he brings to the end. You know why we know that? Because he was with Dallas. And we all know in Dallas what he brings to a team. So what I'm saying is this: if Dallas, under Dak Prescott, if they beat the Eagles, that's going to mean something. It's going to mean something for Dallas and how far Dallas has progressed. And it's going to tell you something about the Eagles and whether or not how far the Eagles should be legitimately the best team in the NFL. And I'm not saying that the Eagles are not the best team in the NFL. What I'm saying is the best team in the NFL is going to get battle tested against a Dak Prescott who doesn't turn the ball over in the red zone twice to give you a competitive advantage to score twice. It's going to be a different game, okay? It's going to be a different game. But if the Eagles beat Dallas, I'll be the first one to tell you, hey, this team is ready to go, baby. They're ready to go for the Super Bowl. Let's go. But if they lose to Dallas, I'm going to tell you that the Eagles aren't not that they're not the best team, but the Eagles can be beat. Number one, that's what I'm going to say. That's the evidence. The Eagles can be beat. And number two, Dallas is in the right trajectory to get into the playoffs. And then once they get into the playoffs, hey, best man win. Dallas most likely will have the wild card. Eagles will have the division. And at some point, we're going to find out exactly what this Philadelphia Eagles and what this Dallas Cowboys team is made out of getting into the season. But I will tell you this. If nothing else, we know one thing. We know one thing for sure. Gonzo, we know one thing for sure. The NFC East is not the easiest division anymore in the NFL like they used to be. We know that for sure.
Yeah. Real quick, Anthony, I agree. I'm not saying Tennessee should have been number one, but I think Tennessee was good enough to be in the top 4 out of the teams you have this year in college football. Damian. The Eagles have played. If you look, the Eagles have the easiest schedule left. That's not a knock on the Eagles. You play who you have to play, and they're playing good. I just still, in my personal opinion, need to see a little bit more from Jalen Hurts before I'm comfortable saying Jalen Hurts is going to go off in the playoffs. But your statement makes no sense. They have easy schedule, and to be fair, the Colts should be having a good season because they have easy schedule too. Colts don't have an easy schedule. We play the NFC East, which is one of the, like Jay said, is one of them. You look at our next game, we have the Raiders, we have the Giants, we have the Cowboys, we have the Eagles. But we're playing and the Colts' problem is their offensive line's terrible.
Can I say one thing, Gonzo, if you don't mind? With the Colts, can I say one thing with the Colts? Just one thing.
Yeah.
My thing with the Colts is, what I learned in psychology is there is a root and then there are symptoms. The root is the Colts don't have the right people at the helm in upper level management. The symptom is because they don't have the right guys at the GM and the coaching ranks, they don't have the right O-line or the right people to bring in to fix the O-line and all the other issues with the team. If you fix the coaching and the GM positions, those guys in turn will fix your offensive line, your wide receiver one, your defense. They'll put the right guys in place, but you cannot put the right guys in place if you don't have the right guys at the leadership position to put the right guys in place. And that's the problem with the Colts. And that's the problem with the Cowboys, too. Jesus Christ, we've seen Jerry Jones for years, 30 years. We've had the wrong guy at the damn helm. And he's not the wrong guy, but he's the wrong guy with money. And he doesn't want to give it to the right guys at the lower level. That's the problem with the Cowboys. But it's all leadership. It's all fucking leader. It goes top and it works its way down.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's what, you're right. But what the Colts' biggest problem is their offensive line, which goes from that. And what sucks is we have most of our money in that offensive line, and it just hasn't performed well at all. We'll see if our new interim coach can change anything.
And I'm more of a screwdriver, but if you want to say hammer,
I'm gonna say that's why I didn't. That's why I turned ESPN off earlier because I was tired of hearing everybody talk about Jeff Saturday. I don't have a problem. I don't have a big problem with the move because he didn't make him a permanent head coach. He's the interim guy. I don't think a lot of people realize he's been a consultant for the Colts for the last couple of years. So he's been in the locker room. He's been around the players. And guess what? Our offensive line's terrible. He was an offensive lineman. Do I think he's going to come in and change everything and we're just going to be great? No. But I think it was more of a move to try to keep the team together. And I think German Mercedes wanted some new eyes in there. You know what I mean? So, like sometimes you need somebody from the outside that sees a different perspective.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it works. Here's my thing. The worst thing that can happen from this is we keep losing like we are, and we're going to get a high draft pick. You know what I mean?
Hey, Gonzo, the best thing is, number one, you got the best damn running back in the league. And as soon as you get a coach and an O-line that knows how to use him, you're going to be freaking catastrophically dangerous.
Okay, and we have a good defense.
Are we going now?
Yeah. You're not even dressed.
Yeah,
So I'm going without you. You're not even dressed.
I'll be right back. Hold on, Gonzo.
Okay.
I told you ready at 2:45.
But yeah, so I didn't have a big problem with it just because it's the interim. I don't think he's not going to get hired as the permanent head coach. But the Colts have problems. I'm not saying the Eagles are a bad team at all. Eagles are a good football team. I just don't think I just want to see them be tested, play some of these other teams. And I'm interested in seeing what Jalen Hurts looks like in the playoffs. But no, the Eagles are a well-balanced team. They're going to be dangerous. But with the Colts, like I said, Jay, what's the worst thing that can happen by having Jeff Saturday as the interim coach? We keep losing.
Hey, listen. The worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen, you get the best quarterback in the draft. That's the worst thing that can happen. Hey, Gonzo, I got to go, man. Apparently, the wife said I got a meeting I got to get to. But hey,
no, that's good.
Peace out. I will see you on Unscripted. I love you guys. I didn't realize
it was already 3:00. It's about time to get out of here anyway because I have another show. All right, Jay. I'll see you later.
What a time to be alive. All right, man. Y'all be good. I'll see you tonight.
All right. See you later, Jay. I want to thank everybody for watching. Today, we will be back tomorrow with another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. On behalf of myself and Jay, we appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for the support. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at All Sports All Plays Network. Also, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button on Gonzo Sports Room YouTube as well. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, all social medias. We appreciate everybody watching today. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow.